So for getting our render set up, I'm actually going to extend this plane out so I don't get this black showing up in the shot. So I want to go to that plane and then scale this up, say 100. Let's see what that does. And that should, okay, that looks fine. So we can stop that. And so now what we want to actually do here is go to our render settings. So the render settings are going to be right here. It's this little movie clipboard with the gear icon. And so we select that and we go to our render settings. Make sure that we have the Arnold renderer turned on. Lighting is going to be a much different situation if you're using Maya software or Maya hardware, or if you're using a really old version of Maya. Mental Ray, you can try using Mental Ray as well, but I like to use the Arnold renderer. It does a pretty nice job. So with this, you want to make sure that frame animation extension is we want to make sure that we have multiple frames. So it's not just a single frame. We have, I'll usually do this name underscore number dot extension. So that's going to give me, and it also tells you what it's going to be called. So right now, this is untitled. So what we can do is just name this, let's see, sphere biped walk. Okay, and then so this is what, these are the images that are going to be turned out from there. So it's sphere biped walk underscore and then however many frames, right? So if we go down here to frame range, well, actually, let's start from the top. Okay, so image format. What we want to use is we can try and just do a PNG sequence, which is fine. So PNG, and then what we'll do is the color space, we want to use the view transform that we already have. And then from here, the start frame, we're going to go 0, and end frame is going to be 30. And here, if we go, we're going to just use the perspective camera that we have. And we also want the alpha channel, but we're not going to really we're not really alphaing out the character per se. We could do that if you wanted to, but I'm just going to render it out like that. It's not that big of a deal. So actually I'm just going to go 1K square. So 1K square, so 1024 by 1024. And if we go to Arnold render, this isn't really too much of it. I mean, you can turn on the motion blur just to kind of look and see how that looks. Just put a soft little blur on your frames. But from here, this should work. Okay, one thing I like to also test here is do a camera settings, resolution gate, and then this should give us what we're going to see in the render. Okay, so I'm going to actually bring Arnold render view back in, do another play, just to kind of get and see what I'm seeing here. So it's already adding motion blur. You can see there. So I am noticing my plane is getting, so I want to probably bring that up to say 500 and just do another. But I think the reason why here is that, let's bring bring that down. So if you like, if there's an angle that you're kind of looking for or whatever, you can actually leave that black like that if you want, or have half and half. If you want the plane to be kind of like in the middle, that's how you would go about doing that. So let's render it out like that for now. All right, so with that set, the motion blur looks okay. It might be a little much, but let's roll with that for now. Okay, so with that, now what we need to do is go to our rendering, and if you go to render, and if we say render sequence, and we use this to current camera, and then alternate output file location is what I'm going to add to a different area. So I'm going to actually go to my D drive, and from here I will go and create a new folder and just call this renders. So renders, and just return that. You can send that basically anywhere you want. So once you that's where my renders are going to go to, and say render sequence. And so this will just go through here. So you'll see as we get through one frame, it's a fairly quick. So I'm going to actually pause the video until this is done rendering, and once we get to the end of that, I'll show you how to look at this animation. So, hi there, and welcome back. So we finished our render, and so to be able to look at our render, there's a way that we can look at our animation from Maya, and it uses a program called fcheck. So since we rendered out as a PNG sequence, it's going to be each individual image file. So to view that, we could go to view sequence, and then we'll just go to our actual where we put our renders. So I think I put mine on my D drive. So let's go to my D drive and renders. And so you select just one and say open. It should go through the walk cycle, or all the frames, and then it'll show you the sequence once it's done loading. So that's the rendered file that you get when you place them all together. So if I was to redo this, I would drop a frame just so it doesn't, it's actually stopping on, it's like each individual frame. So I'd go and render 0 to 29, and that would look a little smoother. And another way we can go about doing this is to actually render out an ABI or a QuickTime. So let's do that. And so if we go, let's see, to rendering, and go to render sequence. Actually, I think trying to remember if I can do this as a movie file. You used to be able to render out an ABI. I thought so. Let me just look through here real quick. So I don't know if that's possible, but so if I render, with these render settings, I'm just given, yeah, JPEG. So the best way to probably go about putting this together would be to take this over to After Effects or Premiere if you have a, or the other way is to actually just shoot a playblast. And so to do with a playblast, if you just go to and select 0 to 29 and then say playblast option box, and then we'll just so view, we can just render this like, so H.264 is fine, QuickTime, quality 100, custom display size we'll just leave from render settings, so that's going to be 1024 by 1024 since we did the 1K box, scale of 1, and then we want to do save to file, and we'll take this name and just copy, and then I'm going to browse and go to my D drive again and renders, and then just save it right here. So save, that'll save us a movie file, so we'll just play blast that. And so there we go. Then we want to actually turn this repeat and then just hit play. So we can kind of see, I'm not sure if this actually did the whole thing or not. So actually going to just do this as 29 just to cut off that last frame. And then if we look here, should be, looks a little better. So here we go. Let's try and play blast this once more. It's going to ask to just overwrite and then just say yes. And then we should get that. But I believe because we're using Windows Media Player or Microsoft Media Player, the best way to actually go about getting this, let's see here. Actually, I'm going to open that up. So I want to go to my D drive. Oops, let's see, D drive and renders, and then just go to the actual animation render and say, I'll probably just use, you can use QuickTime Player or VLC. QuickTime usually does a pretty good job. And then we'll just check that. And we also want to turn on loop. Control L. So there we go. So we'll call that good, and I'm just going to save my scene. I named this sphere biped underscore walk render .ma. So it's a Maya ASCII file and not a Maya binary file. So ASCII files, you're able to actually look at the file in a notepad view. If you wanted to change it to actually go back a version or so in Maya, there's a way to go about doing that. But from here, we're going to call that good, and we'll end on that note. All right, thanks.